So this morning, I suddenly had this thought about how, when I was first introduced to the three principles, and I was first introduced to George Prensky and Linda Prensky, and reflecting on that and looking back, it was kind of like I would see George in the role of Morpheus from The Matrix, and that he was offering me the chance to take the red pill as opposed to the blue pill. And the red pill for me would represent the inside out nature of thought, and the blue pill would represent the outside in nature of thought. And for those of you who are not in the know, that would be pointing towards the idea that the inside out nature of thought would be a way to take ownership of how the outside world is not responsible for how we feel inside. We are responsible for how we feel inside, and we don't need to be a victim to what's going on in the outside world. And why that is pertinent for me today is that I feel that in terms of me taking the red pill, like any good pill or pharmaceutical, it wears off from time to time. And I guess I had an experience of needing a recharge, or the strength, or a greater prescription strength of my inside-out nature of thought pill.
By taking an outside pill.
By taking an outside pill.
The metaphor is not working.
It's not working? I thought it was a good metaphor. See, she's criticizing me, I'm taking it personally. Anyway, so what happened yesterday morning is that I woke up in a bit of a funk, and it was probably a lot to do with the fact that I had a sore shoulder. I have tendinitis in my arm, tendinitis in my shoulder, and I did a sauna lot the night before and got myself completely dehydrated, went to bed without drinking, and woke up with a splitting headache. Anyway, when I woke up, and all I wanted to do was just maybe have a little restorative cuddle with my wife. My wife, as is her wont, she wakes up before me and just gets on with her day and on with her business and checks emails. The mental machinery is at a different tempo to mine, shall we say. And so she started immediately rabbiting on about work. And I didn't like that, because I was just trying to get myself awake and wanted a restorative cuddle. So I got into a bit of a low mood about that. And that sort of fed into my low mood. And I guess I mentioned this morning because I feel like I can see how I went off on a bit of a tangent from that point. So having not got my restorative cuddle, and that my wife, not only she was talking about work, she was talking about something about work which I was having a little bit of resistance to do, to a training that she's talking about doing, which I was having a little bit of resistance to doing. So I didn't like that. I didn't like that idea at all at that moment in time. And then I thought, well, I know what I'll do this morning. I'll go and finish the stairs that I've been doing this home improvement project for weeks, hence the tendinitis in the shoulder and arm. And I decided, well, I'm just going to finish it off because there's just 3 more rungs of the stair. Rungs? Are they rungs, or is that a ladder?
It's a ladder.
3 steps. I have 3 more steps to do. I shall go and do that this morning. That will make me feel better. Very outside in. Very blue pill in my nature at that point. And then my wife suddenly mentions to me that I need to take care of the situation with the accountant, because we still haven't resolved our accountancy issue with Colorado. And that just brought up all this feeling for me. And I wasn't even really conscious of it. It felt very invisible. And I think that what was going on, I was actually probably the avoidance tactic around the steps was more to do with the fact that I didn't want to deal with the accountant, who I'm feeling a great deal of frustration towards. And that just really kind of blew a fuse in me, and I guess wanting to look for something to hang it on, I hung it on you, being my nearest and dearest, closest person to me at that point. And so I went into, I guess, what can best be described as a bit of a petulant fit. And you didn't like that, and I didn't really like it either, but I kind of went on for a good while, moaning and groaning and being pretty despicable, I would say. Anyway, what was interesting, I kind of let off steam, and then by the end of the day, I felt great. I came back to my neutral place, came back to my equilibrium, as it were. And then this morning, when we went for a hike, you were in a low mood, and it was as a result of me being so horrible yesterday. And it just goes to show how things can just spiral out of control, and it becomes this vicious cycle. Someone gets in a low mood, they're not even really aware of what the driving force behind it is, and they look for something to hang it on it. And I hung it on you, got back to, let off steam, let off the pressure, the pressure cooker exploded. Then I felt fine. And then this morning, in response to that, you were not feeling fine. And I could continue, but I'm sure you have something to say on that.
I do. Well, this morning, I hadn't got over what happened yesterday. I was hanging on to it. I was still thinking about...
Outside in.
I was thinking about... I was thinking about what happened, and I was in a low mood, and I was mad at you, and I was irritable, and I was not happy, and I wanted to blame you for how I was feeling, and I was just in a funk. I'm actually feeling a lot better now, but I think there's these two things that happen when you take, which color pill is it?
The red pill is the good pill.
You take the red pill, that yes, we feel our thinking and that we create our experience from the inside out. So yesterday, when you were having your petulant fit at me for what I could see as
Being
I
annoying.
hadn't done anything wrong. Well, I was annoying to you. I didn't think I'd done anything wrong.
No, she didn't do anything wrong.
I was not able to see that I was feeling my thinking in the moment. All I could see was how you're behaving, and it was happened so quickly. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling upset. And then I left because I had to go into work, into my office, see a client. And so I thought I would call you and just kind of hopefully smooth things over. And so when I called you were on the phone with the accountant, and it just went totally downhill.
It did.
And then I think I said something like, well, are you going to speak to the accountant the way you're speaking to me? Like, this isn't okay.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, we're human. And yes, theoretically, we feel our own thinking, but the state of mind that we have does impact other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, that's the learning curve in the relationship, and sort of not letting these things spiral and get out of control, but to realize like, oh, if I'm in a really bad mood like I was this morning, it could be really easy as we're on the hike for that to impact you and for you to go downhill, and then for us to get on this negative spiral, even though we feel our own thinking. And just as easily, if you're in a really centered, loving place, or if I'm in a really centered, loving place and the other person is destabilized, that can also have a positive impact. But ultimately, we're human. We do the best that we can. Sometimes we have days like we did yesterday, and we stabilize and we realize that, I love you, mm-hmm. and you're human, and you're not an ogre. And I can just kind of see that again, even though you look like an ogre for a few hours.
But you know what, this morning, which is so cool, is that there was a point when we started a hike, and I was actually in a really good mood. And as it turns out,
I was in a really
bit of a low mood. And what happened was, I think in the past, I would have taken your low mood very personally, and could have quickly gone into sort of self-analysis and started to sort of figure out, what is it I done? What is it that she's done to create this situation? And so what happened was that when we started the hike, then I started to do that. I started to self-analyze, and my mood started to plummet back down to that place. And it's just such a great example of how, wanting to sort of self-analyze to process the hell out of stuff when you're in that place doesn't really bear fruit, or, and there's no dividends in it. So then I checked myself. I said, oh, look what I'm doing. I'm actually getting myself back into low mood when 5 minutes ago I was actually in a really happy place. And so that was good for me. That was good to see, because it just really showed me how, the nature of thought actually works again. And I guess, what is it? It's one of those pills where it sort of has these little sort of like little incendiaries that just suddenly explode and kick in.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Aren't there those pills where you can take a pill and they sort of work after time, or they keep working? I don't know about the science of it all. Probably not a very good metaphor at all. But I know what I'm talking about.
Incendiaries, pills that are bombs.
Yes, it's kind of like a pill bomb. If no one has invented it yet, they should. It's a sort of time capsule.
Yes.
It's a pill with a series of time capsules.
They have time release pills.
Oh, it's time release. That's what I was. That's what I was looking
It's
for.
a bomb.
Okay, it's time release. Yes. Right, I finished.
Okay.
That's all I have to say on the matter.
Well, have a good weekend, everyone.
Yes. Take care. Bye.